is really the golden age of SLRs these days with digital.
It's growing tremendously again. It's like back in the 60s with film cameras.
And now we got one more lens here. We also saw this previously at last year's PMA, and now I gather it's closer to being a product. This is the Big Bopper, I called it.
Okay, yes, yeah. It was introduced last year in a prototype form. Now the design is finalized, and the factory is scheduling production for this spring. So hopefully by April or May, I should start delivery of the new Big Bop, as you say.
Well, let's go take a look at that. We have to walk across. That one, we have to come to that. That won't come to us. Let's go take a look. The listeners what we're looking at here.
Okay, this big baby here is a 200 to 500 millimeter zoom lens with a constant 2.8 maximum aperture. So making it perhaps the fastest 500 millimeter telephoto lens, but also being a zoom lens, being able to zoom between 500 down to as small as 200. So it'll be very useful like for sports and nature photography. It is supplied with a matched 2x teleconverter. And when the teleconverter is employed, effectively it becomes a 400 to 1,000 millimeter lens with an f5.6 aperture, and still retaining autofocus. It's a full automatic lens, autofocus, auto exposure. It incorporates a motor-driven zoom and a motor-driven focusing system, and can be focused manually even if the camera's set in the autofocus mode. So making it very versatile. Because of its size, it's probably inconvenient for the photographer to try to look across the top to see the distance scale and zoom scale. So the engineers have designed an LCD display on the back surface, which will be visible from the camera, and the display will show both the zoom setting, the effective focal length, and the distance setting.
That's the first lens I've seen that needed a heads-up display.
Amen, yes. Yeah, we had a custom-made display for it. And filters, since the front is so large, filters are affected by using a drop-in filter holder at the back of the lens. It uses 72 millimeter screw-in filters, and it has a provision for rotating the filter inside the lens barrel. So if a circular polarizer is used, you can adjust the polarization as needed from outside the lens barrel.
That's great. You mentioned that everything's motorized in there. We were just playing with it earlier. I can just tell the viewers that we were really surprised how fast it was. It really slews very rapidly, considering how much glass has got to move back and forth in there.
Right. Yeah, they made it quite an efficient system, and it is a self-contained power system. There's a rechargeable lithium-ion battery pack that mounts in the back of the lens barrel. This provides the power to drive the lens, so it doesn't put any undue drain on the camera body. It shouldn't affect the battery life on the digital cameras.
Great. Great. So what's this is maybe closer to a $64,000 question. What do you figure the price is going to be, and when's it going to be available?
Well, happily, it's not going to be quite $64,000, but we estimate the street price will be about $24,500.
And coming when?
The factory's promised us delivery in April or May.
Well, that's great. So it looks like it's time to take out the second mortgage on the house or trade in your car. If you shoot telephoto photography, this is kind of the ultimate, I think.